media for him. Now, he has to come out next season. He has to come out for the rest of this season and show that he can continue to be this consistent. Because really, he's shown a consistency here. I'm not sure he's shown that in his career before. But man, if he can finish out the year this strong, start off next year this strong, then I think you could say we really have a solid player and a solid piece of our future.
Okay, so how do the Trailblazers play this in? So for DeAndre Ayton, it's in his best interest to lock in and give the team everything he's got to put himself in a position to get, that max extension when he'll be 28 years old when this current deal is up. But for the Blazers, after this year, you'll have 2 more years left on the deal. So my guess is next year is kind of the prime year, right, where you take a look and see what Ayton can truly be for you. And then if it works out, great. If not, if next year doesn't end up being what you think it can be, then the Blazers at that point, once next year is over, then that's when they would look at potentially moving him, right? Is that how you play it?
Yes, perfect, Chad. You don't do it this year. You got 2 years left with him. Next year is sort of a show and go. You show us this year or maybe you go after next year. And I think that's fair to both parties. And I think he'll know that too, because once you have only 1 year left on your contract, you're kind of a sitting duck for trade offers. People will want to go get you for that contract year. And I think he knows that. And this upcoming, I would expect next season out of him might be the best year he's ever had. I think he'll play really well next year off what I've seen from him this season. I have to admit, I'll tell you, Chad, he's proven me wrong. He's given them much more this year than I thought he would.
Yeah, in such a short sample. So you're right. I think it's in the best interest of him to lock in. And what you want to do if you're Ayton is put the pressure on the Trailblazers to have to offer you the max extension because you played so great, right?
Yes.
That's what you want.
Yeah, and we're talking a couple years down the road where the salary cap, given the anticipated bigger TV deals, salary cap's going to be higher, going to have a little more room to give him more money. I think he's in a really nice spot. I would hope his agent is telling him that, look, you're in a position where all you have to do is keep doing what you're doing right now. We're not even – I don't think the Blazers need him to be much better than he is right now, especially offensively. Yeah, they'd like to see him block a few more shots and maybe be a little more defensive presence than he is. But he's doing now what he needs to do to be, like I said, a pillar of this rebuild moving forward.
The only downside of being Ayton right now is that you're from Jamaica and you have to look outside, or that you're from the Bahamas and you have to look outside and see the gray skies and the rain and the cold weather. That's the only downside I could think of.
Yeah, and that's important to some players, but you try to overlook that and you try to talk
so
to
is
them
money.
About, it always comes to money, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I really like Ayton and I love watching him play. I like his game and his skill set, but I'm sure I feel just like the team. I just need to see more of this for a more extended period of time before I would feel comfortable, moving into the foreseeable future with him. But I do enjoy his game, and I like watching him play. Like, when he's engaged, he's dominant.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of that.
Yeah, he's still in that prove-it area, though, where he still has to prove it, and there's still a skepticism there because of what happened in Phoenix. And, he was on a team that was in the NBA Finals, and they moved on from him. And that tells you a little bit about the problem. So he has to show he's past that.
All right, Godfather. I appreciate the bonus Godfather time tonight. Thank you.
No extra charge, Chad. Happy to do it.
All right, Godfather, enjoy your evening. He and I will be back at it tomorrow with the Rip City Drive at 3. And when we come back, I will set the table for you for Blazers Game Day. Tip off with the Celtics and Blazers coming up at 7:30 here on 620 Rip City Radio. Well, I don't know how you felt on Saturday, but I was pumped up to see Scoot Henderson back on the floor, and I thought he played extremely well. 13 points. He was on a minutes restriction as he comes off that adductor strain, but he was engaged and very active. And my big takeaway from the game on Saturday was we couldn't have asked for much more, because you got DeAndre Ayton back in the lineup, who missed 5 games with the sprained hand, and then Scoot Henderson hadn't played since prior to the All-Star break, and he was back on the floor, and they didn't skip a beat, man. They went out there and played, and Scoot was aggressive. He looked comfortable moving around on the floor, and I just thought that he was sensational. And that's what I want to see the rest of the way, is just Scoot Henderson continuing to build on the recent play. I mean, he's in the middle of his best stretch during the course of his rookie season, and I want to see more of that over the last 19 games, so when the season concludes, he can enter into the offseason with confidence. He'll have a list of different things he needs to work on from the coaching staff, and by the time camp arrives, he can enter in and be ready to roll and hopefully take that big step forward in year number 2. You know, similar to what we've seen from Jabari Walker, who played sparingly in year 1, put a lot of time in on his game and had a chance to work, and then all of a sudden, boom, you see that major jump from year 1 to year 2, and that's what you want to see from Scoot Henderson. But I thought he was electric in that game on Saturday. And the great thing about tonight, he's going to have a chance to be on the floor and play against one of the best teams in all of basketball, which is the Boston Celtics. So the competition, the defense he's going to face, the different things he's going to see against a team that executes very well, it's going to be a great opportunity for him to go out there and continue to learn and grow. But I was very pleased with what I saw from Scoot and from DeAndre Ayton, who both made the return to the lineup on Saturday in that game against Toronto. It was awesome. All right, Blazers Game Day. Chad doing here from Moda Center, getting ready for tip-off, which is coming up tonight at 7:30. It's going to be on NBA TV, so they moved it back to the 7:30 tip. I want to take a look back at what went down in that game on Saturday between the Raptors and Blazers. Portland was coming off the loss on Friday, looking to bounce back and put themselves in a position to win, and the Blazers jumped out and grabbed an 8-2 lead. The Raptors called timeout with 9:22 left in the first. DeAndre Ayton had 2 points and 4 rebounds in the first 2.5 minutes of the game. Anthony Simons continued the Trailblazers' offensive explosion in the first.
Kamara out on the perimeter in front of Abaji. Bounce pass to Simons up top. Quick 3. Buries it. 5 for Simons, and it's 22-8.
Blazers are shooting 64% from the floor.
That 3 pushed the Blazers' lead to 14 at 22-8. The Raptors called their second timeout of the first with 4:13 remaining. Scoot Henderson hit his first field goal to give Portland a 33-16 lead, and that's where it would stay at the end of 1. The Blazers held to Toronto to just 29% shooting in the first. The Blazers connected on 56% of their shots. Ayton led the team with 8 points, and he pulled down 6 rebounds. Scoot Henderson ignited the Trailblazers in the second by scoring the first 5 points of the period.
Henderson out to Rupert. Dribble handoff, gives it up to Thibault. Out of Scoot, between the rings, 11 to shoot. Scoot launches a 3. Buries it. 9 points for Scoot Henderson in 4 minutes. 38-18 Trailblazers, their largest lead.
Nice to see Scoot get off to a strong start against the Raptors. Toronto responded and used a 9-3 run to trim the Blazers' lead to 14 at 46-32, forcing a Chauncey Billups timeout. 6:51 to play in the first half. The Blazers pushed their lead back to 17 with a 14-7 run, and they led 63-46 heading into the locker room. As we start the third, Toumani Camara did his best to keep the Blazers out in front early in the period.
Blocked from behind by Camara, picked up by Murray, and Toumani comes the other way. Ups it to Benton, steps through and fires the pass back out to Camara. He penetrates into the lane. Finger roll is good. Started with the Toumani block, and he lays it in on the other end.
74-56 at that point. Toronto scored 8 straight, pushing their run to 29-14, cutting the Blazers' lead to 5 at 84-79. Portland responded with an 8-2 run to close out the third and took a 92-81 lead heading into the fourth. The Raptors scored 35 points in the third and made 7 of 11 from downtown. The Raptors used a 9-0 run to cut the Blazers' lead to 4 at 94-90. After that, both teams exchanged threes, Portland leading 97-93 with 8 minutes remaining in the game. Portland then quickly pushed the lead back to double digits at 105-95 with an 11-5 run halfway through the fourth quarter. The Raptors continued to fight back. They trimmed the lead back to 4 at 107-103 following an Emmanuel Quickly three. After a Trailblazers shot clock violation with 1:19 remaining, Quickly scored a bucket to make it a 2-point game at 111-109 with just over a minute left. After a jump ball, the Raptors got possession with 18 seconds on the clock. Chris Boucher got a tip in with .7 on the clock to tie the game at 113. The Blazers called time. They had one final chance at the end of regulation.
I still think DeAndre Ayton is coming into the low block to get a catch.
Ayton standing at the top of the key. Here we go. 0.7 of a second to go. The lob underneath to Ayton. Puts it up. Around and out. Halfway down. Hit the inside of the rim twice and hopped out. It would have been a Blazers win. Instead, extra basketball.
So to overtime we go, knotted at 113. And it didn't take the Blazers long to get things going in the extra period.
Blazers win the tap. And Anthony Simons will bring it up with a lob to Ayton. And he stuffs it in. And DeAndre Ayton's got a season-high 28. 115-113 off a terrific feed.
The Blazers scored the first 7 of the overtime period thanks to Anthony Simons.
Simons back and forth, 2:20 to play in overtime. Down to 6 to shoot. Boucher switches onto him, down to 3. Simons, step back 3 on the way. Buries it! Anthony Simons knocks down the 3. 7-0 Blazers in overtime. Timeout Raptors with 2:10 to play. 120-113 Trailblazers.
And Portland continued to roll in the overtime period. Delano Banton with the icing.
Screen comes, down to 5 to Banton. Wide open 3. Buries it! That'll seal it! The dagger from Delano Banton against the team that drafted him. 126-114.
And the Blazers go on to get the win by a final score of 128-118. Multiple Blazers stepped up to make game-winning plays in this one, starting with DeAndre Ayton. 30 points, 19 rebounds on 14 of 25 shooting. He was dynamite. They got 23 points and 7 assists from Anthony Simons. He was 4 of 9 from downtown. And a big night from Delano Banton, who got the start. He was 9 of 16 from the floor, 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. An efficient night for Banton. And in that starting lineup, Chris Murray, 24 minutes, he had 5 points off the bench. Matisse Thybulle with 13 points on 5 of 9 shooting. He was 3 of 5 from downtown. And Scoot Henderson, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and had a rebound. And he was 5 of 12 from the floor, 1 of 4 from downtown. And the Blazers on the night, 47% shooting, 40% from downtown on 16 of 40 shooting. And the Blazers with great hustle, 18 offensive rebounds, which allowed them to grab 17 second chance points. And they were much better in the turnover department, 15 compared to the struggles they had on Friday night, which led to 26 points. But they're able to force 20 turnovers, leading to 22 points. So the Blazers get the victory in overtime by 10. And an all-around good effort from the Portland Trailblazers. We'll come back on game day, and we'll keep things rolling. We'll get an NBA scoreboard report, and we'll continue to look ahead to what's coming up tonight with the Celtics who are in town. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. I'm here at Section 330 at the Pines, live at Moda Center, getting ready for the Blazers and Celtics. It's going to be a busy week here at Moda Center. The Blazers play tonight. Hawks are in town on Wednesday. Knicks on Thursday. The Blazers will be in New Orleans to meet the Pelicans coming up on Saturday. It's game day here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's get you up to date around the NBA. Take a look at the scoreboard. In Detroit, the Pistons lead the Hornets 79-65 with 1:24 to play in the third. Halftime in Cleveland, Cavaliers lead the Suns 70-63. Darius Garland with 25 points. Devin Booker 15 at the half. Into the first in Chicago, the Mavericks ripping the Bulls 44-16. In that first quarter, Luka Doncic, 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. First quarter in San Antonio, the Spurs lead the Warriors 36-27. And 2 games coming up later on tonight. At 6 o'clock, Raptors are in Denver to meet the Nuggets. And right now, Denver favored by 16.5. And 7:30 tip here at Moda Center, Trailblazers hosting the Celtics. Boston is favored by 11.5. And that is your NBA scoreboard report here on Blazers Game Day. All right, a couple of different individuals I want you to hear following the Blazers' victory over the Raptors on Saturday. Let's start with the big man in the middle, DeAndre Ayton, who finished the night after missing 5 straight games with a sprained hand, 30 points, 19 rebounds in the victory.
DA, your welcome back game was a wild one. You were up 17 at the break. Toronto comes back. It's tied at .7. You miss a heartbreaker. Get to overtime. It was fitting. The first bucket was a dunk by you. What was key to this overtime win?
Mainly just finishing off strong. We made a lot of mistakes in the fourth quarter. There was a lot of, mental fatigue in there, but, we got together and just, stayed poised. We didn't let, the great plays deflate us. And, the coaches had some things up their sleeves and we ran out the gate and we executed it pretty well and just trust the system, man.
That shot with .7 in regulation, this entire arena thought it was good. Have you ever had a shot that you were sure was in but ended up not?
Nah, honestly, it was a great pass by Chris Murray. Great write-up by the coaches on the play. It was a great miss, to be honest. 2 teams battling it out to the last second. It was a fun game to watch, but I'm glad we thugged it out to get the win in overtime.
In your first game back, 30 points, 19 rebounds. You had a double-double at halftime. What was key to dominating them on both ends of the floor?
Mainly I was just trying to, just keep my endurance going. My hand was hurting, but not my legs. So I made sure my wheels always worked and, just made sure I was still in shape, for games like this. Who would have known my first game back would have been overtime, and I'm just glad that, the training staff and the coaches were on me throughout the whole time I was out.
That was a fun one. Nice job. Congratulations. Welcome back.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Brooke.
Well, he's not joking. After missing 5 games, Ayton goes out there and plays 40 minutes in the overtime victory, 30 points, 14 of 25 shooting, 19 rebounds. I mean, he played like a man possessed out there. And, look, I know people have their questions about DeAndre, but I like him, and I want him to embrace this role here in Portland and become the dominant player that he's capable of becoming. It's just a matter of keeping him engaged. And for DeAndre, this is going to come down to coaching, and this is going to be Coach Billups having a conversation with him prior to next year and saying, look, here's the role. This is exactly what we need you to do. We know what your strengths are. We're going to put you in a position to succeed, and it's also going to help the team. So not only will you benefit, but it's going to help the team. And it's going to be important for Chauncey Billups to paint that picture and to help him understand that. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But I want him to work. I mean, he did get done dirty a little bit down in Phoenix. I mean, he took on a different role, did what the team needed. They made it to the finals, but they punked him when it came to contract negotiations. He ended up having to become a restricted free agent, and it cost him a year in his contract. So I can understand why he was frustrated coming out of Phoenix. But for him, it really is engagement. How do you keep him engaged? More importantly, how do you keep him engaged when he's not going to be the number 1 or 2 option? When other guys in the pecking order are probably going to demand and get more shots than you do. But he can still be, even if he's not the second option, he can still become a viable part of this team. And if he understands that and embraces it, he could become dominant and then put himself in a position to get a fat extension. And at his age, with that skill set and the talent, that's not a player you want to give up on. But next year will be critical for Ayton in a Trailblazer uniform. The other one that we need to hear from, Delano Banton, another big night. He had 30 points in the loss Friday, came back on Saturday, 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. He was more efficient in the game on Saturday, but for him it adds extra special meaning because he was doing it against his former team in the Toronto Raptors, and he had a chance to talk to Travis after the game.
Congratulations on the win, man. For you to do this against the team that drafted you. Rasan, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, barely.
Okay. Can we turn up the headset down to him?
There you go.
Is that better?
There you go.
Okay, let's try it one more time.
2 questions on.
Yep. All right. We got 2 questions here for Delano. Hey, man, for you to do this against the team that drafted you, you're Canadian, against the Toronto Raptors, what did it mean for you personally?
It definitely means a lot, just to come out here and get a win for us, knowing how hard we played night in, night out, just trying to do it for 48 minutes. So, we had to put that together tonight in an overtime, tough fought game. They made a run there in the second half, but it's just big for us as a team. I feel like just trying to build, just trying to, day in, day out, just get better, push for the end of the season and just, try and make the best of our situation, every day, just compete and try and get a win.
A lot of teams that have trouble winning games fold at some point, but you guys have stayed with it, whether you're up by 20 and the game gets tied or you're down by 18 on the road. How has this team been able to do that and stay positive despite the wins not being there?
Oh man, just coming in, just enjoying what we do, knowing that you have to be a professional in this league. You can't get too high, can't get too low, whether that's with wins or that's with losses. So, just trying to stay in the middle and, every day just come in, put in that work and just know that, every day is going to be better for us. And, if we keep fighting, keep pushing, doing the thing Coach Chauncey asked of us, we'll have a good time every time out and we'll, give every team a run for their money.
All right, there you go, Delano Banton. He's played extremely well since he came over. New team, new town, new situation, but he's remained aggressive, and he's been ultra productive for the Trailblazers. What a great opportunity for him. I've said this before, but whether it's here in Portland or you have a chance to showcase for somebody else, he's letting it be known what he can do, and he's going to create opportunities in the future by doing that. Another note on that DeAndre Ayton game that we saw Saturday. According to Trailblazers PR, he posted a season-high 30 points to go along with 19 rebounds, making it his 4th straight double-double. It was his first career game with at least 30 points and 19 rebounds, becoming just the 3rd player this season with those stats. The other 2, LeBron James and, of course, Nikola Jokic. So props to DeAndre Ayton and props to Delano Banton for their play. Now, the injury report tonight is looking pretty good. Brogdon, Shaedon Sharpe, Jabari Walker with the right hip strain, and, of course, Robert Williams with the ligament tear in his knee. They're all out. The only other person on the list is Ibu Baji. Outside of that, that means you're going to have Scoot, Ayton, and Grant back on the floor. So they're going to have more reinforcements, which will give them a better chance to compete against one of the best teams in the NBA tonight in the Boston Celtics. And I'm anxious to see it because I want to see how they go out and compete against a team of this stature. Boston right now, 8 games in front of the Milwaukee Bucks, 8.5 in front of the Cavs, 12.5 in front of the Knicks. The Celtics right now lead the East at 49-14. They will be the number 1 seed come playoff time in the Eastern Conference. In the West right now, Oklahoma City leads the way at 45-19, a game in front of Denver at 44-20. Minnesota's a game and a half back at 44-21. Clippers 3.5 back. So there's competition for the top spot between teams 1 through 4, and the next team down at 5 is New Orleans. They're 6 back. The Suns in 6th are 8 games back, and your 7 through 10, Sacramento, Dallas, the LA Lakers, and the Golden State Warriors, who are 11.5 back at 33-30. One thing we do know about the West, we don't know exactly how they're going to line up, but the 10 teams that are listed now, 1 through 10, Oklahoma City being number 1, Golden State being number 10, those will be your 10 playoff teams in the West. The next group down, Houston, 4.5 games back of Golden State. It's unlikely they would be able to make that climb with so few games to play. So that's what the Blazers are looking at tonight. The Boston Celtics right now, not just the best record in the East, but the best record in the NBA. And they're loaded with talent. They compete defensively, so it's going to be a tall order for the Blazers tonight. But I would imagine now, let's see, Scoot, it might still be on the minutes restriction. So we could see a lineup tonight of potentially Ant and Scoot in the backcourt with Ayton and Jeremy Grant in the front court. My guess would be if Scoot's still on the minute restriction, then they'll probably go with the same lineup where you put Band at guard and you throw in Toumani Camara at forward. And then you have Scoot coming off the bench. That's quite possible, too. But either way, the good thing is about having more of these guys back is that you've got better reinforcements on the bench. So they're going to have a little more depth to play with tonight, which is going to be needed. And they're going to need multiple guys step up to make shots, to put themselves in a position to compete in this game. That's where we're at. Blazers and Celtics coming up tonight at 7:30. We'll keep things rolling here on the show. We're going to come back, and when we do, we'll step into the coach's corner and hear from Chauncey Billups. Chad Doing, Chris Burkhart is with me here. Section 330 at the Pines. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30. Blazers and Celtics here from Moda Center on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, good news. An update from Chauncey Billups on the starting lineup. First off, Scoot Henderson is off the minutes restriction, so he's going to start tonight, as will Jeremy Grant. and they're going to throw Chris Murray out there. So you're going to have a lineup of Scoot and Ant with Grant and Chris Murray at the forward spots with DeAndre Ayton in the middle. And then, of course, your key guys off the bench will be Matisse and Duop Reef, but that gives you, a little more ammunition to be able to deal with what we're going to see from the Boston Celtics tonight. Best team in the NBA at 44-19. All right, it is the Coach's Corner. Let's check in with Chauncey Billups following the Blazers' overtime 128-118 victory against the Toronto Raptors.
We all knew this even before he came back to playing, but we just missed him so much. His presence on both ends of the floor, it's just it's a game changer for us. He manned the paint. He got all the rebounds. If it came in his area, he was snatching it. And then just him being able to score, was just a big deal. I think he alleviates so much stress for our guards. Just to have an outlet. Anytime you're in trouble anywhere, just to be able to throw it up is a luxury. Or when they trap an ant, boom, being able to hit him in that pocket. He's doing such a good job of making plays. So D.A. was incredible, man. He was incredible the entire game.
How do you think Scoot looked?
Really good. Really good. I was happy for Scoot because he hasn't been able to actually play basketball. He's been able to work out. Those are two different things, His fire was awesome. His passing was really good. His pace was really, really good. Defense was good. He was physical. I thought Scoot was really good in the game. I did. Yeah.
Chauncey, from my point of view, it looked like Tumani was probably playing the fastest he has on offense all season, making his choices, decisions. Did that look the same to you? Was that the most locked in outside the floor?
I think you said it right. Two is really, I want him to be one of the best next action guys in the league, and also I want him to be able to knock down those corner threes when he has opportunities, and I thought he did both of those good today, along with his defense. I thought him picking up quickly and being physical with him in that first half really made a difference. But he played really fast. His decision making is getting a lot quicker. He's starting to understand not only where he is on the floor, but who's next to him, and which play to make as that ball arrives. He's doing a better job of doing it quicker. So just growth and development for him.
Outside of individual performances, just what do you think of the performance of the team tonight? Obviously, you get up early, they come back, go to overtime, and then you kind of blow the doors off in overtime.
Yeah, I thought, obviously that was the first half. We couldn't have played much better than that in the first half. But over the course of the game, you always know, we're not going to play that way for 48 minutes. So we had a little bit let down. They got some momentum in that third quarter. They started hitting some shots, but I just thought more than anything, we kind of rushed things. And we was feeling ourselves a little too much in that third quarter. We didn't play the way that we got the lead. We played like the game is over. And this is the NBA, and the game is never over, So it was a good lesson for us. I know for me, there was a time, there was like 2 or 3 times during that stretch I really wanted to call a timeout, but I wanted to wait and see if we can clean it up without the timeout. And we didn't. I didn't call it. We still didn't. So I said, all right, let me do it, So those are teachable moments. That's good teachable moments for me, because we could have very well lost that game. And I would have been up here kicking myself saying I shouldn't have experimented right there. So it's a good teachable moment for me. But our team, too, we got to be able to, understand, when we get going like that, okay, now it's time to just get back on track with a couple plays that are longer in the possession where we're moving the ball strong side, weak side, getting some paint touches, and as opposed to the quick shots, which hurt us. So I just thought overall we all kind of learned a lot in the game.
Chauncey, down the stretch here, as you guys are getting healthier and you guys are competing in games a lot tighter, do you feel like there's any sort of identity forming with the team?
I do. This is something that, obviously you would have hoped for a lot earlier, and we would have gotten it a lot earlier had we had the healthy bodies on the team. Our identity, would have been set with everybody. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that no matter who plays, we have a way of playing, and we play together. We do it the right way. But obviously, when your stars and the big dogs come back, you have to change some things a little bit to defer, to DA, to Ant, to Jeremy when he's back, and it's just how it is around the league. But I'm very happy with where we are, where our team really understands how we want to play every single night. And if we do that, we live with the results, win or lose.
All right, there's Coach Billups, and I've been impressed over the last few weeks with how he's gotten his guys to play, especially when you're starting to see the evidence on offense with the player movement and ball movement, multiple guys getting involved, which is nice. You want to see that. The passing numbers, the assist totals are up. They had 31 assists in the victory on Saturday. That's a good number for this team, a really good number. And then defensively, they're engaged. It's not easy when you have to throw, a different, hodgepodge of players out there because they've had guys in and out of the lineup. Tonight's going to be a little bit different because he will have closer to a full complement of players with Scoot back in the starting lineup along with Ant. Grant's going to be back in there. You've got Ayton back at center. That makes things a little bit easier. But Billups has been, getting this group to play well, especially the newcomers who have had to step in and play a much larger role than what was expected, and the young guys that they continue to work with. So props to Billups and his staff in that department, which is nice. And, tonight's a different animal. Boston is, if you don't play hard, play well, and execute, they're going to kill you. And that means tonight the Blazers are going to have to continue to do what we've seen of late, which is rebound as a team, attack the offensive glass. They've got to avoid the live ball turnovers because Boston will feast on that. And then individually, guys stepping up to the challenge and engaging out there on the floor. They're going to need maximum effort from Ant, from Grant, from Ayton, and they'll need some other guys to step up. The other guy that I was going to mention that's kind of caught my eye is Matisse Thybulle. And we know he's a 3-and-D type player, but he's shown a unique ability to put the ball on the floor and attack the rim lately. He's been very active, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. Really like his demeanor and the way he carries himself, but the maximum effort he gives on defense is always there, but just the way he's been attacking the basket, which is kind of new. With Chris Murray, what I like about him, obviously I want him to shoot better, and I want him to shoot more, but he's shown a willingness to put the ball on the floor and attack the basket. He is an underrated rebounder and has been, willing to go up and bang with some of the bodies to grab rebounds, but the coaches compliment him for being in the right place. And the veterans on the team admire him for knowing where he needs to be and what he needs to do, but I think he's done a pretty good job since getting called upon to step into the starting lineup and take on a larger role. This has been valuable minutes for him, coming down the stretch, and hopefully he'll benefit from that and be able to make a leap like we saw from Jabari Walker last year into this year. It would be nice because Chris Murray's got some attributes you like. He's smart. He's a good passer. What about that lob pass he threw with 0.7 on the clock, setting up DeAndre Ayton in near perfect position? He didn't make the shot, but it was a good pass. But Chris Murray's been a factor. DeWop Reeve continues to play well. And Delano Banton, the newcomer from Boston that they got back in the trade deadline, has been aggressive and very effective. He's been a playmaker and a scorer for him. And I didn't know what to expect from him, but he's got a good mentality about him. He's got some toughness. He's got that wiry, lanky body, so he doesn't look – he's much stronger than what he looks like when you see him at first glance because of how lean he is and how lanky he is. But he's shown some toughness out there and a willingness to attack. And he was doing that on Friday when the Blazers offense got stagnant. He didn't mess around. He was attacking the basket and trying to draw contact and get to the foul line. So some good, things that we saw there from Delano Banton. One other thing I want you to hear, Toumani Camara, who my guess, he's going to come off the bench tonight because Chris Murray's getting the start. But I do want you to hear from Toumani, who had a chance to speak after the game against Toronto on Saturday, and he got a chance to share his thoughts on the Celtics who are in town tonight.
Toumani, you guys had a nice win tonight. You guys are heading into a matchup with Boston, who's one of the top favorites to win the NBA title this year. How can you take the momentum from tonight as you head into that tough matchup on Monday?
I think just stay who we are. I think we have a lot of
injuries and stuff like that, and we've been able to work through that. Just trust each other, trust the coaching staff, and I think we've been doing a good job on trying to get better every day. And it's just whoever we have to play next, that's who we have to play. So just trying to focus on the game plan and our personal, and just stay who we are. I think that's the only thing we can do.
Having Scoot DA back tonight.
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, they bring so much to the team. DA with his size and athleticism and experience, and then Scoot with his speed and athleticism. So it's just being able to have other guys slowly coming back. I think it helps the team in general. I think it's gonna be very nice when everybody's back for sure.
Chauncey mentioned he wanted to see you as the best next action guy. Tonight, you played visibly faster than you've probably played all season on offense. What has kind of come together for you the last couple of weeks to make things?
I think the game is just slowing down more and more for me, so I'm able to see things better, watching way more film, and just getting more knowledge every day. And I think that's something I knew I was able to do, just because I feel like throughout my whole career I'm able to understand things pretty easily. But it was just a process, and I knew it was going to take me time to be able to learn all that, learn the speed of the game and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm getting a little bit accustomed to it. So yeah.
All right, there you go. That is Toumani Camara, who had a chance to speak, and we'll see more from him. But what I like about him is his understanding of where he needs to go in terms of that next step. He's a great defender, but he knows he's got to continue to work on that shot and become a legit 3-and-D threat to be able to step up and go to the next level. All right, we'll come back on game day, and when we do, we will have our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30, Blazers and Celtics here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, here it is. Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. I think I figured it out after talking with Godfather and going through this. Next season will be the decisive season for DeAndre Ayton in a Trailblazer uniform. You know, I think it was Jason Quick who maybe a couple of months ago had mentioned the Blazers or Joe Cronin should make a move as quickly as possible to get off of DeAndre Ayton. I disagree with that sentiment because he's got way too much talent. As a former number 1 overall pick, you simply have to take time and see exactly what he's all about. I look at this year from the standpoint of a couple of different things. One, Ayton is getting used to a brand new city, brand new team, new coaching staff, all of that, because he played with Phoenix from his rookie season on. So he's got to be able to adjust. I think the coaching staff is getting used to DeAndre Ayton in terms of strengths, weaknesses, and all the different things that he can bring to the club. And so it's going to be important for them to continue to figure that out. So next year, coming into a season where you have hopefully the lineup set and he knows his role, then you can really start to evaluate what he's going to become moving into the future with the Portland Trailblazers. If he balls out and he dominates, then he puts himself in a position going into the final year of his contract to get the big-time extension from the Trailblazers. If he goes sideways next year and he's inconsistent, in and out of the lineup, and he's not someone that you think you can trust and build around moving into the future, then the Blazers can make that move. But next year will be the decisive season for the Portland Trailblazers. And what I'm hoping for, I guess what I'm looking for would be this. One, the Blazers are able to go out during the course of the summer and improve their lineup by finally finding that forward that can start and be a part of the front court with Grant and with DeAndre Ayton. And then once you have that situation solved, then you have some cohesiveness with the starting lineup. You can either continue on with Ant and with Scoot, or if they make a decision to break up the backcourt as it is right now, then you can settle in on Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe. But regardless, hopefully they can go out and find a forward. And then from there, you're just looking for continuity. Guys staying healthy, being in the lineup night in and night out, and then you're able to truly evaluate. And then for the youngsters that have gotten a chance to really get some burn this year, hopefully they can continue to build off of that and continue to make those necessary steps as they proceed forward. But that's what I'm hoping for. What I would do is I would make a decision on what you want to do in the backcourt this summer. If you want to go with Ant and Scoot, then I would look to move Shaedon. If you want to go with Shaedon and Scoot, then I would look to move Ant. But I would settle in on that so that you can have some uniformity in the backcourt. So you know who your starters are going to be. You have a clear definition there, and you can move forward. But that's a decision they're going to have to make sometime in the near future because you can't proceed with all three of those guys into the foreseeable future. They're going to have to make a decision, which will have to come sooner rather than later. All right, you want to jump on board? 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Coming up tomorrow on the Rip City Drive, we'll have Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. We'll have 4 pairs of tickets to give away on tomorrow's show. 4 pairs of tickets. And I'll tell you exactly what those are going to be. We're going to give away tickets at 4 and at 5. And those tickets for tomorrow will be a couple of pairs for the Atlanta game. And we'll have 2 pairs for the Knicks game. That's right, Atlanta and New York. So that's coming up tomorrow. We'll have 4 pairs of tickets to give away on the Rip City Drive at 4 and at 5. And I want you to take part in that. Now, I'm here with Chris Burkhart, and I want to get his voice on the program as well. So, Chris, I've been talking about DeAndre Ayton. And I know you're a fan of him like I am, so I want to ask you this. I mean, do you see it that way? Because after this year, he'll have 2 more years remaining on his contract. It would be in his best interest to ball out and do everything he can to put himself in a position for that max extension from the Trailblazers. But do you think the Blazers, they'll look at it that way and take all of next year to be able to see what they have in him and see what he can be in a Trailblazer uniform? How do you see that shaking out with DeAndre Ayton?
I think that's an interesting question. I think they'd be smart to, right? Because I think you've already seen flashes this year of what he can be. I mean, he's got to the point, Chad, where he's kind of like a consistent 20-10 guy and can change games when he's healthy and on the floor. So I don't think they have to wait that long to know if he's part of the future or not. I personally think that he is already, and I think whatever he does early in the season next year only solidifies that.
All right, so I was talking to Godfather about this, and I guess a big question with him is engagement, right? So how do you communicate to Ayton what you need from him and keep him engaged when he may not be the first or second option on the team? Because there may be guys in the pecking order who going in are going to get more shots on a nightly basis than what you are at that position of center.
That kind of reminds me a little bit of Yusuf Nurkic, right? Like, it didn't matter if he was scoring 20 points. He just wanted to be involved in the offense in some way, whether that be facilitating or setting those picks and moving things around and getting things going. So I think you get him going that way. But I also think, Chad, the difference between he and Nurk is you've seen this year that he can be a number one scorer on certain nights when they want him to be. Nurk, I just never really felt like that. So I think DeAndre is going to be just fine. I also think they found that balance already this year because he started out the year kind of, that same thing, that mopiness we've heard about, trying to find his groove. And then once he found his groove, you haven't heard a peep coming out of camp because he's just playing basketball and enjoying where he's at. So I don't think the balance is quite that hard.
And it could be if the Blazers were to make a decision on the backcourt and move forward with Scoot and Shaden next year, and you had primarily a younger team on the floor, Ayton may naturally be the second option or possibly the first option on some nights, depending on the lineup in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And that gives you a word that we've liked to use forever, versatility, right? And so it gives you can have a guy who can go down in the paint and get you buckets. And you've started to see it in spurts here lately, even though you've lacked the shooters because everyone's been hurt. But what happens when DeAndre gets going, Chad? They sink into the paint, right? They sink into the paint, opens up those shooters, and you got some good shooters. So it makes the offense better.
Yeah, I just like DeAndre Ayton. He's one of those players I like. I like his game, so I want him to work out here. I like what he brings to the table, man. His skill set and his size, he's unique.
Yeah, I like him a lot as well. I like the trade when they got him. I've always been a big fan, and sometimes change of scenery is all you need. And I think he's starting to kind of get to that place where I think people expected him to be. And it's hard. It's easy to knock him for having bad games. But again, I mean, he's been playing with, just a crazy mix of lineups, right? Delano Banton gets traded over here for a second-round pick. Next thing you know, he's starting next to him. Once you get this team healthy and you figure out what you really want moving forward, I think you'll see the best of DeAndre Ayton.
All right, Chris Burkhardt is one of the busiest mans in media right now here in the city. You also do work for the OSAA, and you've been covering the state championships. How many games would you guess that you've covered over the last week with the state basketball championships?
How about over the last 2 weeks? Because I did the full gamut. But just last week alone, Chad, including the Blazer games, I think I covered more than 30 basketball games.
Insane.
Yeah, I mean, nonstop. Getting to a gym at 8 o'clock in the morning, leaving at 11 o'clock at night, 6 games a day. It's been an intense run over the last 2 weeks.
So, dude, how great. I was here, but I had people telling me, and I was seeing reports on social media, that the atmosphere out there at Childs for the championship games was awesome. How was it?
Oh, my gosh, the game at Childs Center, both of them were great. You had Roosevelt and Benson both playing, so you had Portland schools in those championships, and those fan bases absolutely showed out. It was a home court advantage for Roosevelt, home court advantage for Benson, but of course the Central Catholic fans showed out. And you got to give credit, South Medford fans showed up for the championship game as well. There was a lot of blue. It was a sellout for the boys game, pretty close to a sellout for the girls game. That, for high school basketball, it was unrivaled, man.
I saw a video on social media, a cheerleader flipping around, doing her warm-ups before the game, and doing one of her backflips and kicking a player and knocking him out. Did that really happen?
That indeed really did happen. That was in the consolation bracket Barlow game. Yeah, the cheerleader backed up and hit the player right in the head. He missed the game with a concussion, missed the next game as well. I believe he was a senior too. So those were his very last 2 games ever suiting up as a Bruin, and he was out because of the backflip. I don't know how things are going, but I mean, this is like the things you see in movies, right? The backflip happens, take the kid out, next thing you know, 5 years down the road, they're married and their relationship is unbreakable.
I've never seen that happen before. A cheerleader doing backwards somersaults and kicking a player on accident and knocking him out of action. I don't even know what's ever happened before. I've never seen it. That was incredible, and I felt bad for him.
I felt bad for him as well. It's interesting. No one actually knew what happened. All they knew was there was a player down on the court, and we're like, what happened? And then, you video replay review tells you it was the cheerleader who just got him right in the dome, man. You feel bad for the kid.
Upon further review, it was the cheerleader. That is craziness right there. Well, that's great. How tough is this task going to be tonight for the Trailblazers with these Boston Celtics?
Boston Celtics are one of the best teams in the entire NBA right now. Most people you ask, they're probably the favorite to get out of the East. So it's going to be a very, very tough task. But here's the thing, Chad. We thought it was going to be a very, very tough task against Oklahoma City. We thought it was going to be a very, very tough task with the back-to-back in Mini. And what'd they do? They played well against two of the best teams in the Western Conference. And the way they've been playing over the last few weeks, win or lose, they're playing competitive basketball. So this could be the type of game that maybe Boston comes in. This is the game, right, where the sleeper gets you. You come in like, yeah, it's Delano Banton. We know what he's all about. He was in our locker room once upon a time. We're fine. And then you get punched in the mouth, or you get backflipped and kicked in the head. You never know.
All right, dude. Well, it's great to see you here on site. I wasn't expecting Burkhart today, and I got him, so this is nice. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on Game Day. We'll come back, and we got our keys to the game tip-off with the Blazers and Celtics coming up at 7:30 from Moda Center here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, keys to the game. First off, your Portland Trailblazers need to protect the basketball tonight, limit turnovers, and avoid those dreaded live ball turnovers that drive Chauncey Billups crazy. They've got to watch that. The other thing they need to do tonight against a good defensive team like Boston, they cannot get stagnant in their offense. They got to continue to run their offense, move bodies, move the basketball, and keep the passes up and the assists up like we saw on Saturday. That's going to help things work. Now, the good news is Kristaps Porzingis is out tonight, so that's going to be an opportunity for DeAndre Ayton to make a difference out there, use his size, get to his spots, knock down some shots, and continue to be aggressive. That's going to be critical for the Trailblazers tonight. In regards to the update on the Boston Celtics, Porzingis is out. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Derek White are all available. Drew Holiday is out with left knee tendinopathy. So the majority of the stars, Brown, Tatum, White, available tonight for the Boston Celtics. And for the Blazers, they have access to many more players tonight. Scoot is going to start. His minute restriction has been lifted. He'll start in the backcourt with Anthony Simons. Jeremy Grant is going to start. He's back. And they're going to put Chris Murray at forward next to him, and DeAndre Ayton will get the start at forward. So off the bench, your key guys will be Matisse Thybulle, Duop Reef, and Toumani Camara. So the Blazers have, a little more depth to work with, some more tools to be able to go out there and hopefully get the job done and have a chance to compete against the Boston Celtics. And Chris was right. The Blazers have done a good job over the last week plus of not just winning some games, but being competitive out there. Even in their losses, they put themselves in a position to compete, which is terrific. And that's what you want. You want to see the guys go out there and compete. It's not about wins and losses. Player development is the most important thing, but to see the guys go out there and give that type of effort is critical. And it really starts since that 3-game road trip. They got back-to-back wins in Memphis, took a 5-point loss at Minnesota, lost an 8-point game to Oklahoma City, and then had that horrific second half against Houston where they ended up losing by 16, but they were up big in that game, and they just didn't have the offense in the second half. And then they come back on the very next night and get the overtime victory against Toronto, where it was like the exact they were able to finally pull it off because they had a big lead. They blew it. Toronto was able to force overtime, and then Portland was able to nut up and get over in that overtime period and really dominant play with 30 points, 19 rebounds from DeAndre Ayton. So, for me right now, the same thing that we saw on Saturday. I just want to see Scoot and DeAndre continue this stretch of recent play that we've seen from them, so they continue to take that step forward. I think that's great. I want to see Chris Murray continue to be in the right spots and to not be afraid to put the ball on the floor and attack the rim. But also when he's got open looks from downtown, don't hesitate, man. Don't be afraid to put up those shots. That's part of why you're on the floor, is to get that development, to get to your spots and put up the shots and be aggressive like that. I think that's critical. Taking a look at the NBA scoreboard for the games that are in action right now, the Suns have come back, and they now lead the Cavs by 4 in Cleveland with 9 minutes to play in the fourth. Third quarter in Chicago, the Mavericks, 25-point lead on the Bulls, 78-63. Luka Doncic, 1 rebound shy of a triple-double, 17, 9, and 11. Third quarter in San Antonio, the Spurs continue to lead the Warriors 68-58. First quarter in Denver, the Nuggets on top of the Raptors 17-14. And the two games, one game coming up later, Celtics and Trailblazers. Boston favored by 11.5. The Pistons topped the Hornets by a final score of 114-97. So a light night in the association with the Blazers and Celtics being the nightcapper. And you're also going to see that on NBA TV. Here's what's coming up. Curtis Long is going to have your Trailblazer pregame show across the Trailblazer Radio Network. That will start at 6:30. Tip-off will be at 7:30. And then Chris and I will be back for the fifth quarter following the game live here from Moda Center. And the Blazers, here's what they got coming up the rest of the week. They're going to play tonight against Boston. And then they have a home back-to-back on Wednesday and Thursday. Those two games are going to be against Atlanta and the New York Knicks. Saturday, they'll be in New Orleans to meet the Pelicans. Monday in Chicago to take on the Bulls. Wednesday and Friday of next week, they're back home to take on the L.A. Clippers. Saturday, they host the Denver Nuggets. So a difficult stretch coming up for your Portland Trailblazers. Boston, Atlanta, New York, New Orleans. Maybe a bit of a reprieve with Chicago. Clippers on back-to-back games here at Moda Center, and then the Denver Nuggets on Saturday. the majority of those teams are playoff contenders. So these young Blazers are going to be tested, but it's a good opportunity for the young guys to continue to go out and compete and see what they have to offer. But I'm excited about tonight. I'm like most of you, I'm not down with the Celtics, so it'll be nice to see the Blazers go out there and, be able to get over on them. And, I go back to what Michael Holton has said throughout the year. You need the reward to sometimes match the effort. And the coaches have asked a lot of the guys, especially the young guys, to go out there and compete and grind. So it's nice when you're asking so much of them to have the occasional reward where they can go out there and experience a victory and be able to get over and realize that the hard work is worth it sometimes. So we'll see how things shake out. All right, Curtis Long's got your pregame show, which is coming up next. Tip-off at 7:30. Travis Demers and Michael Holton with the call. And then Chris and I will be back following the game for the fifth quarter. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. For Chris Burkhart, I'm Chad Doing. Curtis Long's coming up next.